All right, so we made it to Lancaster, California, home of Calvert Racing. So let's just say they're Calvert Racing suspensions, right here in the middle of the desert. So we'll go in, see what's going on. Hey, John.
Hey, Jerry.
How are you?
Good.
Good.
Yep.
Got George here.
Hi, George.
Hi, John. Yeah, we made it to Calvert Racing. Oh, we got a little Johnny in the back over there. How you doing there, little Johnny?
Hey,
hi?
Jimmy.
Hey,
George.
All right. Well,
We got Joe on the camera.
Joe's on the camera, of course. So we made it.
Yep.
All right.
All the way from Michigan.
All the way from Michigan. But you know this because we were racing last weekend, so we can't. Yeah.
Very good.
All right, all good. But so we're here at your shop, Calvert Racing, and I understand this is your business, this is your income. However, if I remember correctly, someone once told me, I think it was Keen, over and over again, how you were the postman.
Yeah.
So when you were the postman, you worked for the U.S. Post Office.
Right.
You didn't have a business at that time.
No.
So you started this business while you were postman. What in the world would cause you to start a suspension business?
Right. I always wanted to be an engine guy.
Yeah.
Here I am, suspension guy.
But you're a suspension guy.
Yeah.
And why is that? I mean, I know we all have our cars, we work on our cars and stuff,
Right.
but
Right. An idea, I guess, would be what it is.
an idea.
Yeah.
But you took a car and developed a suspension part
Right.
and built it into this business.
Right.
What year was that?
That was 92. 91,
92.
92. Yeah,
Okay.
92 basically.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, which car was that? Do you still have the car?
Yeah, come on in, you can take a look at a picture of it.
Oh, we got a picture of it. Okay,
Yeah.
well, a picture's good enough, I guess.
Right. We got a couple of pictures. One of it doing a wheelie.
Yep.
One of it sitting out behind a building.
Oh, yeah, I remember that car now.
Yeah.
I remember that car. I see the orange car there. I'm more familiar with that one. But the white car was the one you started the business with.
Right.
So you developed the caltracs. Now that car, what class did it run?
That started as a stock eliminator car, B, C.
Okay,
So one of the
428
top stock eliminator classes.
typical Cobra Jet car
Yeah.
of the era.
Right.
But yeah, when I remember looking at the dragster years ago, and you were in super stock with that car.
Went to super stock in 94.
Okay, that sounds about right. So I remember looking at the dragster, watching you go rounds in that thing.
Yeah.
But it was like a super stock G car, I believe. I think you
Correct.
set the record with it, if I remember right.
I did up in Idaho.
Okay.
It was altitude corrected, but I ran a 939 with it.
Oh, okay. So super stock cars though, of that era, what I remember, I mean, I paid for a couple of them to get done.
Yeah.
4 links,
Uh-huh.
1432s.
Yeah.
And usually a small block with an automatic. But this car is
Yeah.
not a small block with an automatic.
Right.
This is a big block, 440 some cubic inches probably. I know it's supposed to be a 428, but
Yeah.
plus the stroke and
Yeah.
plus the overbore.
Mhm.
So it's close to 440 cubic inches.
Right.
It's a 4-speed,
Right.
and it's got 9-inch tires on it.
Right. But it's got caltracs.
Ah, I see. So this was your real horse
Yeah.
for the business.
Right.
Okay.
Right. Well,
So
let me backstep just a little bit. The reason I went to Superstock in
Yeah.
the very first place.
Yeah.
I raced with Jim Waldo.
Yep.
And Don Keene,
okay.
and we were all in B stock, and it was very difficult because I would not be the slowest car, and neither would they. So
It was quite a
very
battle.
difficult. Yeah. And then one year I realized I had won a world championship, I had won a national event, and to continue to battle with these guys was just, I don't know. I'll just move to Superstock. I'll be all by myself.
Get away from them guys. But you're racing against people like now Dan Fletcher and
Yeah.
Jimmy DeFrank.
Right, right.
And they're, you know.
So it was really cool, and I'm going to tell you a story about that. now.
Okay.
All right, so the first year, I just took my stock eliminator engine and I threw an aluminum intake manifold on it, and I felt, I'll be able to run the index this way.
Right.
So I put one of those police interceptor manifolds on it, and I didn't realize that a Cobra Jet manifold is actually better. It's bigger inside.
Oh,
and
yeah.
I went slower.
Okay.
And so I was last qualifier in Superstock,
Yeah.
and I lost first round.
Yeah.
So this is my debut at the Winter Nationals of moving from stock to Superstock.
Okay.
So
Good.
that was sad.
Yeah.
And I said, I was pretty upset. I'm going to take this car out, and I'm either going to run the index or I'm going to blow the engine up. Blew the engine up.
Oh, okay. Great.
So I regrouped the rest of the year. I had no budget really, and so I regrouped, and I bought parts of a actual blown up Superstock motor that I kind of regrouped with, and I actually went back to the Winter Nationals. It took me all year.
Very good.
All right, so get this. There were people that didn't want to see me in Superstock. They felt if you don't have a $40,000 rear suspension on the car, you do not belong there. Anyway, so Winter Nationals, qualified somewhere, had a final round appearance,
Nice.
racing Jag Coughlin
Wow.
in the final,
Wow, very good.
and ran down the track on the brakes. He goes flying by, and I run my number exactly.
Nice.
And that was my debut win in Superstock, basically.
Fantastic.
And some of the guys are saying,
Ah,
first they said that I would never do that.
right.
And then they said, he will never do that again.
Okay.
And this Jag was a really good guy.
Oh, he's a great guy. Yeah.
I didn't have his decal on. He was impressed about how the race went. He wrote me a $300 check,
Nice.
sent it to me, said, we'd like you to be on
Very
the team.
congenial.
Very good guy. Always
all those guys
appreciated
are,
that.
yeah.
So the next year, okay, the group's saying, oh, he's never going to do that again. Final round of
This is your peers?
yeah.
This is Waldo and Keane?
Well, I'm not, no, it wasn't them. I'm not
Okay.
going to name who it was.
Okay.
They know,
Yeah, they know
that I
who they
can
are.
race.
Okay.
The guys in Superstock didn't know.
Okay.
And so this year is final round of appearance, Dan Fletcher. And extended race into Monday or Tuesday, something like that. And wow, he red lights against me in the final round.
Fletcher never red lights. Dan
1,000.
Fletcher. Come on, Dan.
He was really bummed out, but I was really happy.
Of course.
This is now 2 years in a row with a 4-speed, 9-inch tires, and I've won Superstock 2 times now.
So, why it's automatic? Because
It's
apparently it is automatic.
It is, kind of. Well, you know.
I couldn't figure it out when I was
Okay,
reading it back. I
alright,
never knew you
okay,
back
so
then.
why are yellow Freightliner trucks orange? Is my first question.
I have no idea.
Okay. All right, so that swirls around in my brain.
Yeah.
But I've got a shift light,
Yep.
a 2-step rev limiter, a
Yep.
shifter that you just push forward and pull back,
Yep.
a clutch that turns on my 2-step rev limiter,
Yep.
and it's just like automatic.
Oh.
You can't go wrong. You can't do anything wrong in the car.
So you decided to name the car.
It's automatic.
Great. All right. Cool.
All right.
All right. Let's take a walk in the back.
All right.
All right. He's gonna do the directing.
Okay.
We'll see what happens here.
Okay, so this is our assembly line, our day's worth of shipping that's going to be going out. We do a lot with Jags and Summit now, and we have some Australian big dealers in Australia. But this is, I would say, typical. Lots going out daily. It is really cool. So let's see here. We're going to go into the assembly area. This is where we bring everything together, package it. But what I'm going to show you is how it's made. So we have the robot that has been an amazing addition to our shop. We do so much welding here, and this robot does 90% of it. You really have quite an operation going here to
to assemble the bars. Obviously, you're assembling bars.
It welded it on the other side. He'll remove it. He'll put another one on. It's going to weld it on the other side. It's going to rotate it. Consistent welding. It's just a really fantastic machine. It's done a lot for us. All right, so here's our leaf springs. Quite a lot of leaf springs go out on a daily basis. This is Dean. The leaf springs originate on that wall. We stock them all. We have fronts and back halves. Back half of a Camaro is the same as the back half of a Mustang. And front half of a Chrysler can be the same as the front half of a Mustang. We have mix and match. We can do any leaf spring in there, any car. So let's see here. Our vertical mill, not using it today. We have limited use of the vertical mill. A lot of our stuff is flat pattern, but we still have our wedges and a certain number of other items that we run on that. Our SP25. Today we're making our strut rod cups. This is the first operation. Second, I'll bring it that way. Strut rods that don't move but still have a lot of ease of movement. Our Doosan automatic bar feed, automatic takeaway. We're running some threaded inserts today on that, which Gary is actually welding into those tubes. We've got a sandblaster back there, and we have our tubing cutter for all the links for all the different sizes, trucks, cars, and basically we're not cutting anything there. We have our shrink wrap machine for putting stuff on cards, and we have our stock. All our bar stock for the lathe. All our rear shocks up above here. All our leaf springs down across there. Our old forklift, because we run it once in a while still. And then we have a little race car area.
Well, it's pretty impressive that from that white 68 Cobra gun,
Yeah.
this
Right.
modern production
Yeah,
assembly.
and it's an interesting statement that you make there, because I was just a racer.
Right.
And I had very little money. You know,
Right.
I wasn't a mailman, but I was a guy who worked in the postal center.
Okay.
So I was an electronics technician. I was in charge of machines, programming, automation specialist at a certain amount of time. But a friend of mine in the early years was needing some help. I could shift a car really good. He didn't know how I did it. So I told him how I did it. And that is with the synchro rings, either taking them out or cutting every other tube off. He tried it. He was all indebted and my friend for the life.
The simplest things.
One day he wanted to know, he said, I have an idea for a suspension system on a car. I don't know, Larry. And he says, yeah, you really like it. And I thought, okay, all right, well, I'm not doing anything tomorrow if you want to come over and we'll work on something.
Right.
So he comes over and we start working on it. And he made the back, which is fairly simple. But then we got to the front, it was not what it needed to be. And I said, and we worked all day. I said, Larry, I don't think the front's going to work, but let me think about it overnight.
Right.
And so, okay, I'll be back tomorrow. And he comes back, and overnight, came up with the idea. I looked at the car before going to bed, and I came up with the idea of the triangular plates, the bar on top of the spring, and putting the bar right under. He wanted to move it in and just anchor it to the car, which there would be no travel, no suspension, nothing.
Right.
And so I was optimistic now. We put that on the car, and we tested it.
On your white car.
Yep, and I think I tested it when I was on my way to training in Oklahoma. I ran it at the Noble, Oklahoma track, and this thing, it just lifted the wheels so nicely, set them back down. It was so smooth. Wow, this is really cool. But it's a nice track there too.
Yeah.
And so I told Larry, I think I'm going to patent this idea. What do you think? He says, sorry with me. He didn't care about anything.
So Larry initiated it.
He did.
Okay.
He kicked me in the butt, and it was due to a friendship where I helped him, and he helped me back. It's amazing how it works sometimes.
Yep.
It's really good. I've had a lot of people who have helped me along the way, including my brother, taught me how to do AutoCAD, many things in this building.
Right.
You know, I was nothing in my garage.
Yeah.
And so, but Larry, I'll always be indebted to Larry.
Right.
And his dad, Carol. So, anyway, since then, obviously, we've come up with a spring design. And that's something that I did on my own.
Right.
A lot of testing. You can test many different leaf springs. Thick leaves, front and back. Whole bunch in the front, nothing in the back. You can come up with an engineer who's going to tell you how it's going to happen, but he's not going to tell you how it's going to happen. So I just tried all these different combinations, and finally with John Durley one day, and Don Little, and Chuck Rayburn, Chrysler guys, the toughest to get through. They bought bars from me. They tried them. John Durley, kind of, well, it's okay. And then I think maybe Chuck and Don took theirs off. He was going to leave with his on though. And I said, well, maybe it's a spring. I said, let's try some springs.
Did Mopar, have the market on springs for those cars?
They were super stock springs.
Yeah.
And so I said, okay, let's do this. I'm going to come up with some designs, and you try them on your car.
Right.
And we tried them, and we tried them. And then when we got to this split mono with different thicknesses front and rear, it was good. And now his car worked. And it was a 4-speed max wedge, 64 with a real short front half leaf spring, and he's happy.
Yeah.
And now Chuck runs them again, Don runs them again, and now we have a combination for the Mopars. And it actually has been a really good addition, because the spring is very important.
Right.
It goes along with the rear shock. The rear shock needs to have a lot of resistance because the instant center is so far back. You don't want the thing to, typical Chrysler. No suspension on it at all. 4 wheels off the ground when it launches. You know, you got to realize you have to hold that step together. You need to kind of redirect it, and then you might have something going. So that's what we did.
Very good.
Leaf spring, caltracs, rear shock, and let the front come up easy with our shock that we are now renaming into a wheelie monster.
Really?
Yeah. Well, I might show you a picture.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's great. You started with the leaf spring Ford, and obviously a leaf spring car is a leaf spring car.
Yeah.
However, wheelbase, power, transmissions, all affects it.
Sure.
So Chevrolets, I'm sure you got springs for Chevrolets as well.
Right.
And who knows what else you're doing.
Yeah, that's why I worked with John Durley so diligently, because he had the long wheelbase car, nose heavy car, short front half leaf spring, 4-speed car.
Yep.
And I knew if I could do it with that car, we were in.
Good.
We were in.
All right, great. So I assume the car's here because you're working on it a little bit, get ready for the Vegas events upcoming.
Right. So the new cars came about because of you and me. I got a phone call, either from you or from Brent.
It was from me. I was with Brent and some people from Ford.
Right.
When Brent was talking about possibly bringing 4 cars to the Winter Nationals, that was in 2009.
Right.
Yeah, we were sitting. They wanted me to go because I could take the engine apart. And at that meeting, Brent asked me if I would drive one of the cars. I was elated, of course. And he already told me of that Jim Waldo was involved in the car, and Gary Stinnett. 2 prominent names.
Right.
And he's like, we need one more guy. And I was already talking to you that they were going to start building. That they were building these Cobra jets, and you were buying one. So I said, well, I know John Calvert. He looks at me like, you know John Calvert. Yeah. I'm sitting right across from Brent, and he goes, well, can you call him? And I'm like, yeah, I guess. We've got our food there, so I'm like, yeah, I'll call him. So I call him, and John answers the phone, and I hand my phone to John, and I don't get it back for a half hour, and next thing you know, John's getting 2 cars to modify for the Winter Nationals, and Ford couldn't have rode it any better, with the exception of the rain, which may have helped, I don't know. But I ran a car, I red lit first round. Waldo, he was out first round. Stinnett did a little better. I think he made it second or third round. But John here, for whatever reason, wins round after round with the very first car. And I get a call. I'm back to work. I'm working. I'm back in Michigan.
Because it rained.
It rained, yeah. So they raced Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and I get a call on Wednesday. Hey Jimmy, it's John. I just won the winter man. I mean, I couldn't believe it that he won the race with this car. It couldn't have been written any better. So
Same graphics as Al Joniak had on his 40 years
right.
ago.
It's been great.
Yeah.
So now we're going to go to Norwalk this year, I guess.
Yeah.
For
reunion.
the 55th Cobra Jet reunion there. It'll be.
Yeah.
It's always a fun time. And Brent's going to be there, right?
Yeah, Brent and Al Joniak.
Oh, great.
I'll be
Is he
there
going to bring
and,
the car, do you think?
I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, we'll talk to Brent, see what he's got to say.
Yeah.
All right.
All right. So I'm going to add one more thing.
Okay.
It was another one of those moments when you moved me into the late model Cobra Jets, because I would probably still be driving that 68
Okay.
today if it wasn't for that. Maybe it's hard to say for sure.
Okay.
But I want to thank you personally, because it is really cool that you're here today and I can do that. And you already know the role you play. This car and the Cobra Jet program is, I think, has been really successful. I really like working on these engines compared to an FE. The gasket scraping. I had a friend who had a flathead dragster,
Right.
and it would run in the sevens. He ran over 200 miles an hour at Bonneville.
Okay.
And I looked at him, I said, wow, he's still working on flatheads. And then I realized
you didn't want to be that guy.
I'm still working on FEs.
Oh, I see.
And you moved me out. And here it is.
I
Ford helped too, I'm going to say.
Yeah.
I always appreciate Brian Wolf, Jesse Kershaw, Jimmy Ronzello, Brent Hayek. Brent Hayek and I, we had a little conflict at times. Still, we're good friends, and we made a statement.
Okay, I don't want to bore these people to tears, but I got to say one thing. All right. Before this happened, all this Cobra Jet thing, I was flat broke. I mean, I was divorced, trying to get going here.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Things are happening.
Yeah.
But I always had a car. Okay.
Right.
I had no place to work on my cars.
Oh man, I saw that.
I had nothing.
Yeah.
Okay. But I had a friend way back.
George. Hi, George. Thanks for bringing him up.
I'm not kidding you. I'm not kidding you. George has got a wonderful shop. George spares no expense on the shop, on his cars. I mean, he goes for it. And quite honestly, this is kind of long. I'm sorry. I got to get into this a little bit. But I was calling you. The reason I knew you was because I had this house I was trying to rent. The guy wouldn't pay me no money. I ended up with a 69 Mustang. I didn't want the car.
Right.
The car should have been scrapped if it wasn't a 69 Mustang.
Right.
And I looked at George and I'm like, what am I going to do with this thing? He said, well, let's make a stock car out of it. I'm like, I've never raced stock. I mean, we started with the Mercury Zephyr way back with, Stelny helping me and all. And I had no interest in stock. Sorry, I just didn't, I still really don't. It's too early to get up. But he said, they're cool, they're cool. So we brought my car to a race, and I noticed that the guy running a B-stock automatic car, he was doing good. So I said, well, I'm going to have to call Calvert. I'm going to try and call Calvert to talk about the front suspension and stuff.
Right.
And, you answered the phone, and you would talk to me. Well, so I'm running my orange car, which had a V6 in it at the time in Superstock BX. And George and I decided to take the car to the Chicago national event. This is somewhere around 2006 or 7.
6 probably.
And you were competing for TRW points, correct? You were part of the
final. It was an all-star race.
It was okay. Yeah. So you were there at the all-star race,
right?
And it's like we pitted, and we look, and we see the white 68, and I tell George, I'm like, John Calvert's like right across from us, like. a couple
Yeah.
doors down. You know?
Yeah,
I was
it's
like, no
amazing,
kidding.
isn't it?
I said, I've been talking to him.
Yeah.
And there he is, you
Yeah.
know? So we walk over and, you know, we meet in person for the first time.
Yeah.
And that was the reason I knew I could call him when the Cobra Jet thing started, basically.
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
So, I mean, again, so it's like, it's a gel of people, and I'm sure a lot of people that are watching this know this from their experience while they race.
Yeah.
That it's a gel of people that you know, that you meet, that you get along with, that will help you carry through to the next.
It never helps thinking you're going to do it on your own and I don't need anybody.
Right.
It never helps.
Right.
I have one more story.
Oh,
if I may. This is really cool. All right, so in the early days, I really didn't know what direction I was going to go. And because I had told myself I'm going to put an ad in the National Dragster, which was just a new product thing. And if I sold 20 sets of bars, I'm going into business. I don't know how I'm going to make them, but I'm going to go into business.
Yeah.
So my brother tells me the guy named, last name was Crowler. He was down in San Diego. He has a friend at Mojave Airport that he comes up and sees once in a while. So Mr. Crowler, I couldn't remember his first name right now, but Crowler Cranks and everybody else. Okay, so
this was the Crowler from Crowler Camp.
Yes.
You're talking about? Okay.
And so my brother sets a meeting between me and Crowler.
Okay.
And so, so I go up there, and he tells me this, and he talks about that, and he says, really what you need is a flame cutter. And I said, a flame cutter? I didn't know what the heck a flame cutter would be. Yeah, he says it has a torch like this, has a little magnet, and it rolls around there, and it cuts out a pattern. And so you can cut out your plates with that. You can do your own thing, and you're not relying on someone.
Yeah.
All right, flame cutter. I had no idea. But Pomona Swamp Meet was coming up next weekend. It is gigantic.
Okay.
I thought,
people are selling things there, like besides car parts, like flame cutters. Like there's a flame cutter at the swap meet. Come on, John, you're making this up.
It's crazy. So I go down there, and I'm walking down aisle after aisle, looking at everything. I wanted to go there anyway.
Yeah.
But I was on a quest.
Right.
And I mean, it was almost the end of the day, and a friend was with me, and I said, I'm gonna walk down
one more
aisle. And I start going, they're not even gonna walk down the aisle with me. I'm staying down here. And I walk down the aisle, and I'm looking at this thing over here, and then I turn around, and there's this pickup truck, and there's this yellow whatever in the back, and there's a 3x5 card on it that says, flame cutter, 150 bucks. I'm not kidding you. I bought it and I brought it home, and I was flame cutting.
Well, I guess Crowler set you up.
He did. How does that happen?
I don't know.
I really don't know.
All right.
Okay, man.
Well, we've had fun.
Thanks for dropping by, George.
Thanks,
It's been a lot of fun. Thank you.
All right. Thanks.